Go ahead, put it on real tight. Hope you brought your best tonight. They say they got the fireworks, yeah, they say they got the show. Here around the chutes, you're the best, so let's go.
This is Texas Toast. I'm your host, Miss Helen. Kick back and enjoy as we toast the best from Texas.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Texas Toast. I'm Miss Helen, along with one of my all-time favorite ever artists that came to the radio station when he was just getting started, and I've followed you ever since. Will Carter, welcome to Texas Toast. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I still feel like I'm just getting started. You know, it's been 6 years of this fun ride that I've been on, but I don't know. It's a grind, that's for sure. But it's fun, man. I feel like I say this all the time that watching the whole project grow and just all of the milestones along the way is kind of, you know, the journey is kind of what it's all about. It's a lot of fun.
Yes, you've had a lot of milestones and an interesting journey, and you and I bonded a lot because of your music and who you were when you came to the radio station and walked in, and but we bonded because we had that Sealy connection, because that's my hometown. And I just want to briefly mention, let's talk about that a little bit, because it goes way back to when you were little bitty and you did the talent show at Sealy's Fantasy of Lights.
I was 3 years old, actually. Yeah, so my dad was he was 6'4", 250 pounds, and I was the oldest, you know, the firstborn, and I'm the oldest of four. And so when I was born, he was dead set on the fact that I was going to be a football player, and so he put me in tap, jazz, ballet, and gymnastics at the age of 3 to learn agility and balance while like during the developing years or whatever. And it's funny, like I say this all the time. My mom is beautiful, but she's 5'3" and weighs like 90 pounds. So I didn't grow up to be the whole football player physique necessarily, but I was exposed to music and whatnot at a very early age, and I got chosen for whatever reason to open this that festival. It was the Fantasy Lights Festival. They still do it. They do it every year, and the company I was with was part of that ceremony. So I said the Pledge of Allegiance and sang the Grand Old Flag and National Anthem and all that stuff. At the age of 3, my mom still has it on VHS, which is pretty embarrassing, but.
Oh, I would love to see that. Do you remember what year it was?
I was 3. It had to be like 1990 or 1991, probably.
See, I was probably there because I was still living.
Festival?
Yes, because I mean, I remember when Fantasy of Lights was teeny tiny, we would just have the lights around the park, and then we started the whole parade thing, and now it's like a huge thing. So yeah, and so let's talk about your connection with your father and how that really was your inspiration for your music.
Sure. Yeah, so I was homeschooled until 8th grade. I grew up on a self-sustaining farm. I milked goats every morning, gathered eggs. We had a 3.5-acre garden. My dad and I were super close. He didn't have a 9-to-5. He worked for himself. And so that meant, dragging me around with him when I was younger all the time. And then as I got older and got in, like grade school and that kind of thing, like I'd wake up in the morning and go feed the animals, milk the goats, that kind of thing, do what we call, I guess, chores. And then I was, doing schoolwork until, early afternoon or so. And then after that, I was with him wherever he was. Like we were just together all the time. I have a very close family. And of course, like I said, I'm the oldest of 4. So the whole family was real close. But my dad, again, he wanted me to be a football player. Once we realized that really wasn't going to work out, but I took to music. He had no musical talent whatsoever. But he thought it was the coolest thing in the world that his kid could do something that he couldn't. So he would drive me all over everywhere I could get in to play at talent contests or fairs or festivals or whatever. And we didn't have the money to do that. Like he would drive me all over the state, and that wasn't cheap. And it was kind of a burden on us, but that's just something that, he really pushed me to pursue that. And he was diagnosed with terminal cancer when I was 11, which was of course heartbreaking for all of us. And in an effort to raise money, I put together a CD of cover songs at the time, and obviously I couldn't sell them, so we just had those out, and I would ask for a donation type thing, and we did a benefit for them and raised several $1,000s selling these CDs and whatever else, the benefit and that kind of thing. And the most touching part of the whole story, I guess, is the last probably 2 months or so of his life. I put the CD up together in like January or February, and from then until mid-May when we lost him, he literally would be in bed listening to that CD on repeat. And then a couple times my mom would wake me up in the middle of the night and go, "Hey, your dad's CD burned up. He needs another copy." And so I'd give him another one. And so, like, I think every artist deserves, to chase their dreams, follow their passion and all that. But having seen the dedication from him and how much he, appreciated what I was doing and supported what I was doing, that, as much as I have a motivation to keep going, because this is a tough industry, but as much as motivation as I have to do it for myself, to, keep grinding and whatnot, I feel like I, on some level, owe it to him as well. And that's why I'm still here and I'm not going anywhere.
Okay. And there's the story, and I reflect on that story quite often. It's just such an amazing thing. So look at what you've done. I mean, all your Texas Country Music Association nominations and Texas Regional Radio Music Awards. I mean, you are just out there. All of your music is good and solid. And so let's just talk about a couple of your current music projects. First of all, I know you just released a current single. We'll get to that, but I want to talk about How You Know, because when you and I ran into each other at I believe it was the Texas Country Music Awards,
Yeah.
we talked about How You Know, and I told you it's like that song was amazing. So let's talk a little bit about How You Know.
Sure. Yeah. So I got married last year, and I had been in, several relationships through the course of my life, and it was, for one reason or another, they didn't work out. And it was interesting. I met a girl actually at the release party of my Good Bad Idea album. She was there with some mutual friends of ours, and we didn't know each other, and that's how we met. But we started to hang out, and very soon off the bat, like I met her family. Her dad and brother do professional bowling, so she was like, "Well, I'm going to Vegas to go watch them bowl and hang out with my family. You want to come?" And I was like, "Not do anything else. Why not?" So I went and I met them, and then immediately after that, her parents were going to Yellowstone, and they wanted her to go, so I went along, and it was literally her mom and dad and her and I in a car together nonstop, like 24 hours a day. We were together. We were either in a car for 8 hours a day driving through Yellowstone, or we were back at the cabin hotel wherever we were staying at that night. I mean, sharing a room, the whole thing. Like we got to know each other very well, very quickly. But her family, like mine, is very close knit. They're very tight. She has a brother. Her and her brother are super close. The parents, they're just that same kind of family, which my family is like that, right? And not everybody's like that. So some of the other relationships I've been in, the other person may not have had that same kind of family dynamic, and so they didn't fit in with my group as well, I guess. But with her, it was like kind of right off the bat, like her mom and my mom text each other every day. I mean, they're like her family accepted me, my family accepted her, our families meshed. It was just it just felt, real natural, right? And so that's where the song How You Know came from. Is basically, when you it's the age old thing, when you find the right person, you'll know. And I've always struggled with like, well, how do you know? And they're like, well,
Right.
like, that's not a good enough reason for me. Like, you'll just know. I don't like that, right? Like, but then having experienced it, I guess I agree with everybody else. You just know.
Well, one thing I want to ask you also about that song is I missed it, but I've called up later and saw that you went on Houston Life and performed it. And I just have to ask you, because I'm huge fans of Courtney and Derek. What's it like on the set there?
Oh, they are awesome. It was so laid back. Like sometimes those things can be nerve-wracking, right? Like they're used to it. They do it every day. But,
yes.
Being on live TV like that is a little nerve-wracking, and I've done quite a bit of it. It's less nerve-wracking now, but it's definitely better when you're with people that are really good at their jobs, because they are. They can help, steer the conversation in the right direction. They help you, make you feel comfortable, they make you feel at home, that kind of thing. So it was great getting to hang out with them. I had a blast. My mom watches that, and it's funny. She was like, You need to be on Houston Live. They got Corey Morrow on there. You should be on there. I'm like, okay, so let me see what I can do. So I asked my publicist to reach out, and sure enough, they accepted. Like, hey, come on. We had a blast. I took my bass player with me. They treated us very, very well. It was a great time. I want to go back and do it again because it was so much fun. And we actually just kind of started talking again. We're waiting for some big news that we got coming up here to talk about, then we'll schedule a reappearance.
Okay, I'm gonna have to make sure I catch your next appearance because it was hit and miss. I used to be faithful. I guess I need to start DVRing again like I used to. All right, let's talk about your current single. It was a fan favorite at your live shows, and you said, "Hey, I'm taking this in the studio and let's record it, and it's out to radio, and it's moving up." I'm sorry, wrong side of town.
Yeah, it's so that's a song that I've always loved. It's always been one of those I've been like, this is just, it's got that it factor. And I had it produced twice and I was never happy with it. And it's weird. I've been trying to figure this out as I go, like everybody else. And then I was doing another interview a couple of weeks ago and they were kind of saying, well, it's almost like you're moving backward. Most artists start off recording in their room and then they grow up and they start recording in a local studio and then they go to Nashville and they record in these big studios. And you kind of started in the big studios in Nashville and now you're moving the other direction. And I think that, I don't know if there's necessarily a forwards or backwards way to do it. I think you just have to figure out what works for you, right? And I took voice lessons from Tom McKinney and I happened to meet Beyonce's team and I started writing with big writers and I started recording in big studios and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of where that's what I knew at the time. And this song is a perfect example. It's like I never could get what I wanted. Like they did what they wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And what Wrong Side of Town says is, we've been playing this song live for almost 7 years, I guess now a little over 6 years. And we've won the Country Showdown with it, and it's the very first song I ever played that the crowd started singing along. And as an original artist, that's a cool moment that you won't forget. Like the first time that the crowd sings your song back to you, that's something that you don't forget. And this song was the one that happened on. And I've been asked by friends, fans, the label team members, management, booking, radio, everybody has been asking for this song and for years now. And I've just said the same thing, like, I've had it produced twice and I just don't like it. It's not how we do it. It just doesn't feel right. And so I haven't put it out. And so getting kind of, I guess, frustrated with, not being able to get what I wanted out of these studio musicians and not taking anything away from them. I mean, studio musicians are what they are. That's what they do. They crank out studio tracks all day long and they're phenomenal at it. And most artists, they use studio musicians for their album. Their live band learns them and plays them. That's kind of the typical way things work. But we've got such a good live band and the song has been received so well live that I said, I want to try something different and go in the studio with my guys and we're going to record what we do on stage and see what happens. And
there you go.
That's what we did. We love it. And so far the response has been phenomenal. So the plan is for the rest of this album to do exactly that. And hey, if you like it, great. If you don't, great. It is what it is. It's what we do. And
I think it's wonderful. I love the whole story behind it, with it being one of your fan favorites at your live shows. Yeah. I think it's awesome. I love this song. We talked about it on Texas on Tap.
Yeah, I've it's weird. It feels a little bit strange to me to be releasing a song that I've been playing live for 7 years. It's you kind of almost have to explain the story why. But we just did a kind of a hybrid music video for it that'll be out here in a few weeks. The song it's at radio now, but it goes to the digital retailers on June 10th. Mm-hmm. So cool. I think that's this Friday, isn't it? Or is it next Friday? That's the next. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to figure out what day it is after the Memorial Day holiday. I've enjoyed my 3-day weekend. And even yesterday I was saying, man, we need this 3-day weekend just for some reason needs to be a 4-day weekend. I need one more day.
Me too. Absolutely. And I mean, I had to keep telling myself yesterday that it was Monday and I had you coming on the podcast Tuesday. So another song I want to talk about, and mainly I want to talk about the video because you did it at the Kinney store, which is kind of local to my area where I grew up. Your video for Laredo.
Yes, that was a blast. So I did my very first single was I Don't Know Why, and I did my very first music video to that single at the Kinney store. And this was in 2016, and I love Tony and Rita, and I love the Kinney store. I mean, it's the coolest place in the area, right? And so whenever we were going to do this video for Laredo, the concept, I don't know if you've seen it, but the concept takes place in an old West town, but 100 years in the future. And so we got the DeLorean and the whole deal. And I called up Tony. I'm like, all right, guys, okay, let's do another rodeo. Can I use your venue again? But this time we blew it up. This time from the first time where it was, 3 or 4 guys and some cameras and then a couple of friends. This time was a whole acting company, I guess, where they bring the actors and actresses.
Oh,
and
yes, yes.
wardrobe and all the fake guns. Well, they weren't fake guns or real guns, but all the old Western, 6 years, and like it was over the top, and it was a lot of fun. And Tony and Rita were both there, and they were like, "This is a little bit different than what we were doing 5 years ago." But it was a blast. And the music videos are always fun. They're a lot of work. They're like 8 hours to get the 3 minutes and 15 seconds of footage that you need for the video. But
and that's one set I've never been on, is a music video set. I've
Really?
always like had this dream, like I would love to just hang out, like just kind of like be that wallflower or whatever, and just see how it's done, because that amazes me.
You gotta do that. You gotta be in the video. You're gonna be there.
Okay, anything about fishing, I'll be in it.
All right.
I'll be your fishing girl.
I don't have a fishing song yet. I'm glad you said that. I'm gonna put that in my digital book here. I need a fishing song.
If you need any ideas, hey, just reach out. I can brainstorm with you.
I like it, man. And that is what we need. So I have this digital cookbook because, as a writer, it's easy at first because there's a whole bunch of stuff that you haven't written about. But then once you've written 3 albums, you start to think, okay, what do I write about now? that I haven't
Those crazy lady anglers that are so competitive. But let's get back to you. So you just recently signed with PLA Media.
I did. We just started working together about 2 weeks ago. I'm very excited. They're a fantastic outfit.
So what exactly does that mean for you?
Oh, I don't know. I'm working with PLA. So they're handling my publicity. I was working with Jill McGuckin. She was Jerry Jeff Walker's publicist. And then she kind of retired, sort of passed on her company, we want to call it, I guess, to Heidi. And I love Heidi. I love Jill, but we've been together for 5 or 6 years. It's been a big, the last few months have been a pretty big shift in what I've got going on. I've just ended a 3-year, or I didn't end it, but I had a 3-year management deal that expired, or ran its course or whatnot. So I changed management companies. I got new booking. And so we kind of went through with new management and kind of looked at what was working and what wasn't working, and what may be working, but we wanted to try something different. And so we made a lot of changes. We changed promotions teams. We added a new social media team. We changed publicity teams. We got a new booking agent, 2 of them. First one didn't work out. Then we got the next one. So we're just kind of revamping the whole deal.
That's cool.
My bass player has been with me for 7 years. And when COVID hit, it just kind of was a weird time, right? Like everything sort of kind of got put on hold, and then people did different things. And so my guitar player moved and started his own project. My drummer and his family moved to Florida. So this has been in the works for about 6 or 8 months now, but officially inked the deal with the new band 3 months ago. And phenomenal players. My bass player has been with me forever, but what was going on was he was playing with a cover band local to us here in the Houston area whenever he wasn't playing with me. And these guys have been together for a long time. Their fiddle player fronts the band, insanely talented fiddle player and singer, can play anything, in fact, and does. So we got him a MIDI fiddle, so he can turn his fiddle into a piano or a guitar or an airplane sound, whatever.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, and I'm all about the live show. That's my favorite part about this whole thing, is the live show. So, so that's been great. And then the guitar player for the band was previously with Drugstore Gypsies before they did their little one on their hiatus or dissolved or whatever. And prior to that was Sam Riggs and Casey Donahue. Name's Dylan Dostal. He is fantastic, phenomenal guitar player. He's playing. I mean, they're all playing on the Wrong Side of Town singles, so you can hear them there.
Wow.
But and their drummer is phenomenal. So anyways, Bobby, my bass player, was playing with them and going, "Yeah, they got a fiddle player and the guitar player is amazing, and I love their drummer, and like it's like this great group, and they're all super tight, and we should team up." And so we all talked about it and worked it out. And so basically, they're my band, and then when if I'm doing an acoustic thing or if I'm taking the weekend off or whatever, then they book themselves as Born and Bred, the cover band, and keep themselves busy. So it takes some pressure off of me to make sure I have full band shows every weekend. That's the hardest part as a solo artist is, there's sometimes when I've got to go do radio tour, or I've got to go do acoustic, showcases, or I've got to do something that doesn't necessarily involve the band, and then they're counting on that work, right? So this is a great opportunity, and I've got my management and my booking involved too, so that they kind of help keep the band busy with or without me, right? And if I need an opener, they open, right? So it's
That's awesome. What a win-win.
Yeah, it's great for everybody. It really, really is. So that's been another big change. It's been exciting, and of course now, they're also the studio band. So it's pretty
wow, cool. Will, that's awesome. And that leads me, because I looked at what you had sent over to me. You've got a huge tour schedule coming up. Actually, you just kicked it off.
Yeah, and that's only been about 3 or 4 weeks that the new team has been working on that. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
I mean, you've got show after show, like all the way through the July.
Yeah. We're pretty much booked through the summer, and then we've got stuff all the way into late fall. So it's, again, like I said, we just got Carly Evans which is in radio for 30 years. And she was at KRA in College Station, where I met her, and then she moved to Colorado Springs. That was running the Texas mountain country thing up there, and she still lives there. But we had originally approached Carly about we were going to use a local Texas agent for all the Texas shows, and then use Carly to help us find, because she's done this for many other Texas artists, to help us get booked in those, because there's Texas country pockets throughout the country, right?
Yes,
so,
yes.
Colorado Springs being one of them, San Diego, ironically enough, is one of them. But Nebraska, Kansas, they're all over the place, right? So the idea was for Carly to help us to start landing some shows in those other Texas country markets that are outside of Texas, and to get out of broaden, hit every one of those markets. And so the original booking agent that we were working with for Texas didn't end up working out, and Carly was amazing, like right off the bat. So her and my management team, Chuck has been doing booking and a little bit of management and a lot of booking. And so now I've got him doing management and basically a little bit of booking, but really kind of working with Carly on the booking for Texas. And then Carly's doing the booking for outside of Texas. And yeah, the calendar speaks for itself. They're killing it. It's
yes.
Only in a very short amount of time, they've loaded it up. So we're excited.
So are you doing music full time now, or do you still have didn't you have a construction company?
I do own a commercial construction company. It's fully staffed, so I don't do a whole lot except for somebody has a problem. If my phone's not ringing, it's a good day.
Right. Well, is there anything else you want to discuss that we haven't talked about? I'm thinking I covered everything in my notes that I had down.
I think you did. Just man, the calendar's filling up, and we actually last week I brought down Tom Jackson's team again. So I brought them down for the release of the Good Bad Idea album. And what Tom Jackson does is he designs the live show for all the major artists, Taylor Swift, Rascal Flatts, Brian, all of them. So they're phenomenal to work with. They take your songs and help you. There's a theory behind it. They've got a book. I've read the book. I bought the book for my entire band. So anyways, we worked with them to design the show for the last album, Good Bad Idea. Dropped the new album, How You Know, in October of last year. Okay, well, now we need to redesign the show because we've got a whole bunch of new songs to incorporate. So we spent all of last week working 8 hours a day with their team. My fiddle player also owns a live music venue, bar, restaurant. So we've got with 3 stages. So it was perfect. We went and used his place. So we had a big stage and house sound set up and mapped out all of the songs and videoed them. And so now my job tonight is to extrapolate all the notes onto a set list, and then we're going to get this tightened up by Friday, because Friday and Saturday we'll be the first. This weekend will be our first weekend to roll out the brand new show that we just wrote and learned.
Will, I can't tell you how excited I am for you. This has been the most enlightening interview, and I'm just like, I'm on fire. Can't wait to see all the great stuff coming for you.
We are definitely pumped up, definitely excited. And yes, so we want to see some people at the live show, because we will not let you down. I promise you that.
For sure. All right. So one last thing I have to ask you before we wrap things up. If you were a cocktail, what would you be?
Whiskey on the rocks.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been so great visiting with you. And this has just been a blast. Thank you so much, Will Carter.
Thank you so much. This has been a blast. Let's do it again soon.
With a heavy tongue, she knew where I was from. why she left, I dare to say.